Honorable Men Discord. Christians respond to GloRilla winning an award for Best Gospel Record. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new, I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. So let's get straight to it. All right. Recently at the 2025 BET Awards, GloRilla won in the category of gospel. She won an award for a record she did, which I have beside me. It's called Rain Down on Me, featuring Kirk Franklin and Maverick City. Now, for those of you that don't know, GloRilla is not a gospel artist. All right, so Christians are in an uproar. Some are in an uproar, I should say. And not only is she not a gospel artist, the type of music that she makes is far from Christian-like. All right, but before I get into my opinion on all this, I queued up some videos of people discussing it. But before I even get into those people discussing it, let me get into this. So John 8:7 says, pretty much, it says, "He that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone." Another rendition of that is those, basically what it's telling you is those who are also guilty of wrongdoing should not be quick to judge or condemn others. The reason why I'm even reading John 8:7 is because for those Christians that feel they're holier than thou and they're super judgmental, it applies to you. John 8:7, it applies to you. It applies to all of us. All right. Let me just be clear on that. All right. Now, let me go into what everyone has said. Well, the 4 videos I have queued up, and then I'm going to speak about it after.
So it's hard for us to watch the Dr. Bobby Jones Gospel Award being given to somebody that's not in our space, right? No disrespect to the artist, but that's not the space she's in. And so it makes it discouraging, disappointing, and it takes the wind out of all of it. And we wonder why gospel music is dying. It's because...
You know, I know I said I wasn't going to interrupt till the very end, but I can't help it. All right. I think I'm going to do this throughout all the videos. So just brace yourself. You can hate me for it. If you don't want to hear what I have to say, do what you do. But here, he's starting off by telling GloRilla she's not in our space. What is your space exactly, sir? And this guy's name is Dietrich Haddon. He's probably a well-known gospel artist. All right. Or something of that nature. I'll be honest, I don't follow gospel music, but already he sounds crazy, and I'm gonna tell you why. And I know that people are gonna disagree with me, but that's what this channel's for. Keep it respectful. My notorious delete fingers right here, it's on deck. It's ready to eat. I delete your comment. But let's get back to him. The reason why I'm saying he sounds crazy is because he's saying she's not in our space. First of all, there's not a sinless person in the church. Let's start there. All right? That's one. 2, first of all, there's not a sinless person on this earth. And if you think you're sinless, you're wrong. But let's get back to him. There's not a sinless person in the church. And if I'm not mistaken, churches have been bending rules left and right, depending on what year you're talking about. All right? And we've seen just about everything happening in churches. Right? Do I agree with it? No. Do I understand it? I understand it in respect to the fact that, into that verse that I said. I respect it in regard to that verse that I read. He without sin cast the first stone. So if the church, various churches are bending certain rules, I only respect it in terms of that verse because we are not worthy of judging another, although we do. I do it. I absolutely do it, especially on this channel I do it. So I'm making that clear before anyone jumps in the comments like, oh, you're a hypocrite. Yeah, I do it. Okay? I do it in this channel. But he's making it seem as though she's not allowed to win something in that category. And I disagree with it for the simple fact that How do you know that's not God's plan for someone of her nature to make a record like that, to pull in her fan base? That song might have changed someone's whole life when they heard that on her album. You don't know that. So if all gospel is to come from artists that gospel or gospel artists, the gospel community, the church community feels should be winning awards, if those are the only ones allowed to make certain type of Christian themed music, then you're limiting those that you're going to reach. And for that reason, you're wrong. And I stand on that 10 toes down. People who know this guy or don't know him, or people who disagree with me, I will see you in the comments. I'm here for it. All right, let's continue.
We're doing things like that. Well, on top of that is, we're tired. Nobody will say this, but I will. Of seeing the same people being celebrated year after year. Like there is nobody else in gospel music. Like no one else is working. You cannot just give it to one person as if they're the ones that's keeping it going. No. We're done with that. Last night was a great win for the...
That part I understand where he's coming from, because there's people working hard and it's like a slap in the face when someone who's not even from your genre is getting an award for your genre. But again, Christian people, right? And I was going to do air quotes, but I'm not going to insult Christians because that's not what I'm here to do. Again, the purpose of your music, outside of the selfish need for acknowledgement, validation, and an award, Christian music is supposed to be made to serve God and make awareness of his presence in each and every one of our lives and in this world. That's the real sole purpose behind the music. Now, obviously, once an industry developed and labels and monetization was being made from making the music, we end up finding ourselves speaking like this. But the grand scheme of things is the outreach. So what are we talking about, Christian community, as far as gospel is concerned and gospel artists? Is this about the community or is this about God? Ask yourself that question, because right now some of you all out there are sounding crazy. And if you disagree with me, I'll see you in the comments. I'll be here all for it, 24 hours. And if I'm sleeping and I wake up to a comment, I'm going to respond first thing in the morning, because I'm here for it. Let's continue.
Ratings for BET, I give certain people awards for ratings, but it was not a win for the gospel music industry.
What if GloRilla winning the gospel award was actually God reminding her of where she belonged, of where home is, or where she started? And what if Kevin Hart calling out Kirk Franklin, what if that's also God's way of reminding Kirk Franklin of who he is and whose he is? So we hear just a lot about favor not being fair, but there's this specific group of people that are always favored, and usually people around them are usually scratching their heads. These are a group of people, they grew up in church, they was raised in the ways of the Lord, and then they decide to go to the world. Not that they're halfway with God, they're halfway with the devil. No, they fully are serving the devil, but yet they still have this conviction. They still will be the first to tell you, I know I'm not with God right now, but eventually. I noticed that those people, there's a specific grace that follows those people, as opposed to those of us that are claiming Christianity, doing the works, but yet we halfway with the world, halfway with God, and we can't decide. And that's why the scripture says a double-minded man gets nothing from God. And this particular group of people, whenever they are in a place where they're trying to fit in, they're always the butt of the joke. The enemy always finds a way to embarrass them, as opposed to this other group of people that I just mentioned. They know they're serving the devil, they know they need to go back to God, but in their mind, the way they rationalize things, like I'm not ready yet for whatever reason, but they will be the first one to tell you that God is always finding a way to remind them of whose they are. Always finding a way to remind them that they belong to him and that he loves them. And for those of you that don't know, GloRilla's real name is actually Gloria Hallelujah. She was raised in church. And again, that's why sometimes you see people, they're doing all type of worldly stuff, all devilish things, but yet favor still follows them. And that's because the prayers of their mothers, the prayers of their fathers, the prayers of their grandparents, their own prayers, God does not forget. And I pray that GloRilla eventually find her way back to God. And I also pray that Kirk Franklin decides who he's going to serve this day. What if...
Okay. And I'm going to move on to the final one I have queued up. And then we'll talk about it further.
So GloRilla won the BET Gospel Award.
It's my first BET Awards, even though I've been here 3 years to get nominated 6 times every time. It's a blessing to get the Gospel Award first because I owe it all to God. Shout out to BET too. I love BET too. Shout out to Kirk Franklin. I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of scared to ask him for a feature on this song because y'all know how I be rapping. But I was like, oh my God, when he said yes, I was so excited. I had this song in the vault for so long. Shout out to Maverick City, Kiara Sherd. Don't mind my accent.
Listen, guys, this is not in no way, shape, or form a gospel artist. This is a very promiscuous, nasty rapper. And she won a gospel award for the simple fact that Kirk Franklin was on her album.
So are you asking for like a song for the album? Is that what you're trying to say? What? Is that what you're trying to say? I got it.
Guys, not only was Kirk Franklin on her album, he walked her to the stage to accept the gospel award. This is disgusting. And I don't even blame GloRilla. I blame the system and who is behind it. Why in the world would they give a secular rapper a gospel award? That is mockery at its finest. The BET Gospel Award is a joke. It's a...
All right, I just have to say this. Because and forgive me for stopping the video, but don't forgive me because I'm going to do it anyway. Respectfully. Is the issue about awards given for those that are not in a specific category, or is the issue that a secular person is doing a gospel record? I think they need to be very clear on what and this is for those that are against GloRilla winning the gospel award. I could understand why they're upset. Let me make that clear. I could completely understand why they're upset. But what exactly are you saying? Are you saying, because this is what it kind of sounds like, are you saying secular artists shouldn't even be speaking about God or making records about God? Is it not possible that they are struggling with where they want to be, but they acknowledge him? Is that not possible? I would think that it would be a good thing that a secular artist even mentions his name in the first place. Much less do what GloRilla did and sort out two of the biggest names in gospel. And I don't even follow gospel, but I know Maverick City is a big name. And I obviously know Kirk Franklin because they've been out in the forefront to the point where if I find out about them, that means they must be big because I don't follow gospel, as I mentioned. So I'm not understanding what's going on here. Are they, and when I say they, I'm talking about those in the Christian, those specific people in the Christian community and in Christian music. Are they really bothered by the fact that secular artists are making gospel type records? Because let me remind you, Kirk Franklin lent his vocals to Kanye West for the Life of Pablo album, which was a phenomenal record. And I don't follow gospel, and I'm going to say something that might really upset those in the gospel music, but I haven't heard the GloRilla song, first of all, which I know, shame on me. I should have at least listened to the record. But Kanye West's song on Life of Pablo with Kirk Franklin and I think Kelly Price, phenomenal record. It had Chance the Rapper, phenomenal record. I mean, when I say phenomenal, phenomenal record. And I not to digress, but I was actually a part of that that fashion week. I was in Madison Square Garden. I was one of the extras when Kanye West, at that time he was still married to Kim Kardashian. I could tell you a whole story, and I wish I could tell it right now, but I don't want to make this an hour video. But I was a part of that as an extra. Don't ask me how I got a part of that. That's a whole nother story. Maybe if enough people ask in the comments to hear the story, I'll share it. But phenomenal record. And where am I going with this? I don't think a gospel artist could have pulled off the record Kanye pulled off with Kirk Franklin. Phenomenal record. And I'm saying that to say, again, the mission should be getting God's name out there. Not getting awards and who didn't get an award. Oh, we didn't get an award. We worked so hard. I understand that feeling if you're in that field. I understand it. Trust me, I understand it. But remember, you're Christians. Right? Remind yourself, look yourself in the mirror, remember that you're a Christian, and the ultimate goal is to get his name and word out there. So if you're bickering about an award that is not going to get placed beside you in your casket or not get burned with your body if you're cremated, what are we talking about? I try to remind people ever so often to look at the picture, to don't forget the bigger picture. Some of you are killing each other over the dumbest things out there. And at the end of the day, we're all going to see the same outcome. And I don't say that to be like depressing or be a downer, but that's the truth of the matter. We're getting old by the day. And some of you are fighting over worldly possessions. And unfortunately, like the situation in Las Vegas that I covered with the YouTube dispute where the guy ended up killing a guy and his wife over what? Over channels, YouTube channels? What is going on? What is going on in this world? Don't lose sight of the bigger picture, Christians out there. All right? Don't lose sight of the bigger picture. I'm going to let him continue and I'm going to wrap up.
Joke. If you're going to have a category that is for gospel artists, the award should go to a gospel artist. And that gospel artist should be complete surrender to God doing gospel music.
Says who? And that's the problem with the world today. And I stand on this 10 toes down. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm going to stand on it firmly. And I'll see you in the comments. Keep it respectful. Again, my delete finger is super notorious. All right? I can make a whole nother channel off of my finger. I can take a picture of my finger and make a whole nother channel called the Notorious Finger. No, I'm just joking. So listen. It says who? It says man? Or does God say that? Because last time I checked, I haven't heard God speak to people in person since birth. All right, so a lot of Christians are saying certain things where it's like, who's saying that? That, you know, the way they're feeling, they're deep in their feelings, but did God say that? You don't know what God's plan is. He's using individuals as vessels to get his message out there, to get his name out there, period. You're getting caught up in trophies and accolades, and none of that means anything. It's a good feeling because you work hard. Yes, I understand that. But those things in the grand scheme of things and what's going on in this world, in different nations, that's his concern. Not whether or not certain individuals feel a gospel artist needs the trophy. Like, come on, what are we doing? We're making ourselves look worse. And I'm saying we're making ourselves look worse because, yes, I am a Christian. I said this before. Not a great example of one, but I could acknowledge that. But some of y'all are saying certain things where I have to correct you where you stand because I have to. That's aside from the fact that I have a platform, I just have to. But I'm going to let him continue and I'm going to wrap up.
This is beyond disrespectful, BET. You're sick. And if you're somebody who's okay with this, you're sick. Clearly, your relationship with God is not where it's supposed to be if you're okay with something like this. And Kirk Franklin getting on stage, being okay with her winning a gospel award, bro, you got issues. And I pray for you to come into a place where you deal with those issues with God. I don't care, people. I said what I said. This is not right in no way, shape, or form.
All right, I'm just gonna say this thing and wrap up. So, what happens if Kirk Franklin, one Sunday, gets on the pulpit and says God spoke to him and told him, "Give GloRilla the record"? What are all you gonna say then? He's lying? Are we gonna do that? Because everyone seems to know exactly what God wants done, yet none of you have proof that God spoke to you. And that's not me saying that God doesn't exist, because by all means, I believe he exists. Absolutely, 100% believe he exists. How do I know that? I just know it. It's either you feel it and you know it, or you don't. I just know he exists. But many of you are speaking as though you know exactly what he wants as far as his message getting out there and how he wants it delivered. It's 2025. The gone are the days where gospel music is the only way to get the message out there. All right? It's prehistoric at this point. We got people dancing to TikTok videos. We got Twitch or something like that. I don't even know what it's called. What the young kids are using. There's different avenues, and however it's needed to get the word out there is a good thing. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that I can understand why people are frustrated is they're looking at it like, oh, she got a trophy and she's probably going to go back to making secular music. I could understand. But that's not your battle to fight, because, again, you're supposed to be, as a Christian, keeping this in mind to keep you humble, which is the John 8:7. That's not your place to get all worried about who gets what and who doesn't get what. Remember John 8:7. And that's it. And we're all gonna fall short and judge others, but we have to remember that. All right. And that's all I have on this topic. I'm waiting to see who comes in the comments. Maybe some of you come, maybe some of you stay quiet. It is what it is. But I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and tell everybody 5 p.m. daily, Honorable Men Discord drops material. Salute. Take care.